Yes, quite of an ambitious title for the presentation. In the minute one of LLMs, somebody comes and talks about best practices about prompt design. Just before going to the content, a little bit introduction about Flix. Flix is a German company founded in 2013, and currently we are a global mobility market leader. We are the #1 in Europe as the only pan-European network. We are the #1 also in Turkey. Oh, some German one was left in that slide, and we are consolidating the market there. After the acquisition of Greyhound, we are the #1 also in the United States, and with Greyhound, we are crossing the borders to Canada and Mexico. We have presence also in Brazil, and just before we will expand to India soon. We are having also mini expansion to Chile, so this is FlixBus or Flix today. And our mission is to make a revolution in traveling and offer smart and green mobility for everyone to experience the world. Today, I will speak about generative AI for the topic of customer service. That is the topic I have been working the last 4 years at Flix, automating contact centers, automating contact center integrations. And therefore, I'm gonna connect it with the possibilities we see in order to scale our automation in the customer service that we offer. So basically, I'm gonna make a introduction to a beginner's introduction to generative AI and how does it connect to the main 2 projects that we have on the level of experimentation, that is the improvement of the content of FAQ and LLM-supported chat assistant. What is what we have learned so far? Kind of best practices, but again, it's quite ambitious to come and say that, yeah, these are the best practices you should follow in prompt design, because actually nobody knows. It's a new area in artificial intelligence. We don't have all the tools, we don't have all the know-how, so it's just sharing that knowledge. And after that, some main pitfalls that most likely you will be aware of them, because they are going around in Twitter and in the internet. So let's go to the generative AI for customer service. So generative AI, very simply described, is a branch of artificial intelligence that is able to process huge amount of data and create completely a new output out of that. Depending on the data that the model has been training on and the capabilities of the model itself for producing the output could become an image, audio, text, video, or code. Today, I'm gonna focus mainly only in textual applications or large language models, because the 2 topics that we have been exploring are FAQs and chat. So I'm gonna be talking mostly about textual applications. Textual applications that are fit from the content or from the base knowledge system and can be deployed, and that information that is contained in the knowledge system is deployed through the main channels that we have: FAQs, email, telephony, and chat. Large language models have a huge possibility to create custom content on a scale for FAQs and email, and at the same time is amazing the possibilities you have with them to create conversational experiences that will fit in factual data and up-to-date information. And how are we doing this? So basically, the topic started inside of the company, I guess like in the rest of the companies at the beginning of this year. So during the first quarter was exploration time, in which the different teams were starting to brainstorm what would be the possibilities of using large language models for the use cases. And everybody started to play around with OpenAI ChatGPT. During the last quarter in May, we were having an internal event in which we converted those ideas into POCs, also using OpenAI, ChatGPT, and at the moment we are in the moment where we are doing vendors evaluation. So whoever else has information about that, I'm happy to share. And being on the way to capitalize the roadmap items for our epics. You have also information, no? Good, yes. So I forgot. Just as a parenthesis, ChatGPT is a large language model that can produce text, summarize, do sentiment analysis, and also do translations. It sounds so human-like because it has been basically trained in all the written content that was available on the internet before 2022. And another very important thing to know is a transformer model, so it's not a deep learning model that is sequential. That means that it doesn't process the input step by step. It processes the input in a holistic kind of way, and this is because it can understand the context and can provide better responses. Just to clarify what is ChatGPT. And yeah, and how can we use large language models again for textual generation of content at scale? There are basically 4 main applications that we have been experimenting with. The first one is textual transformation. And again, I'm having all the time on my mind FAQs and text from the FAQs. So with the text transformation, you can do a correction of spelling, the grammar mistake, and the syntactical mistake you may have there, the tone, and other stylistic use cases. This is very useful for Flix because our knowledge base has been growing very fast, very organically. And also you can do summarization. Summarization is not only to create a summary of a text. You can also combine many pieces of text, and you can define also the text extension on the level of the sentences, because with tokenization it's very difficult to establish the exact amount of characters. And the most interesting thing is also that you can customize the textual focus, and I'm going to explain a little bit later about what I mean with that. You can do also with LLMs translations, although the accuracy across languages is very variable. And for chat, the interesting part is the conversation via LLM that is very powerful. It can really understand context and bring in aloud the conversation and save a lot of work on conversational design. Okay, so for showing some more explicit examples. Content transformation is very powerful for revisiting the general style of our FAQs because the knowledge base basically has been growing quite organically, and stylistic revision was not always possible. So with large language models, we can do textual revision at scale and check if the coherence of the text is correct, if the sentences are concise enough. That is very important for informative text. Grammatical and syntactical mistake as well, because again, it has been growing organically. We can standardize the tone, and this is very important for keeping the same persona, the same Flix persona across all the contact in the documentation you are setting to with the customer, but also across different contact channels. And also check for aspects like clarity and accessibility. Is the text readable enough, and how can we improve it or not? In another round of iteration, but this is completely brainstorming, I imagine that we can check things like the format of the article, and also to make them richer with multimedia content, videos or images. Okay, content summarization, again, is more than making the text shorter. And the interesting part here is that you can summarize text, making a focus of what is really relevant on the text, but also you can change the perspective into summarizing a text that is produced for FAQs into a conversational response that goes to a chatbot or an email that goes to the email channel. So summarization also is as part of a pipeline in which the key information is extracted from the article in the knowledge base and converted as valuable information for another channel. Okay, translation. This is super business case for Flix, because only for FlixBus we have 18 different languages, FlixTrain 3 languages, and Greyhound also 3 languages. So although we don't know still about the quality of the translations for all the languages we have, how does it vary, not only in ChatGPT, but how it would work with Vertex AI or the solutions of Amazon. This is like a super business case for us. And at the end, we have the conversation over LLM for chat automation. This was completely another project during the internal event that we were having. We were a team of a conversational designer, two data scientists, 2 software backend developers, and our business stakeholders. And then we came out with an automated, what is the NLU we have, but with an LLM layer there that was pulling updated information into a very much more natural conversation, for which me as a conversational designer needed to do pretty much nothing anymore. And it was super scary because LLM layer takes care of the greetings, the goodbyes, the chit chats, and can be prompt also for offering alternative for the same response. And then pretty much I realized that, okay, conversational design may disappear. I hope not so soon, okay. And this we didn't go so far as understanding how the same solution would be scalable for suggested responses for human agents, but that possibility is there as well. Okay, so regarding prompt design, what have we learned so far? First, that is an iterative process. So I guess that there are these libraries in GitHub that they have infinite list of prompts, but there is not a best prompt. The best prompt for you is the prompt you need for basically getting your output. And you have to improve it in an iterative way, like for any other business solution. So in this case, prompt implementation also is very much observing the experimental result you get out of it and analyzing where are your errors, and on the basis of that learning, continue improving. At the core of the prompting is the few sought prompt technique that is basically a technique that also includes a problem solution pair. So the model can process the input through examples before attempting the task. If we go again to the example of the FAQs, let's imagine that one of the problems there could be the tone of the article. The writer, the content creator, has produced some text that is friendly, but is not professional enough. So the basic few shot prompting would be to tell the system to correct the tone of the article so that it is friendly but predominantly professional. And the second part of the prompt is the problem and solution with enough context. So this is the problem and the solution. The problem, you can extract it with human annotators. So this is another interesting approach to it. From where do you start? Do you start from the human knowledge and you use it to create the problem? Or do you use the LLM itself to do the assessment and to take that information inside? This is also a possibility. And this is very interesting and paradoxical. So the second part of the prompt, I don't know if I can use the pointer or how accurate I will be. I will not use the pointer, I think. Yes, and I cannot put it off. No. Okay, no, I put it off. Yes. So the second part is, so our agents, the example. that is bad. Our agents will check your case and get back to you as soon as possible. Did not meet the requirement of professional tone and was updated to our agents will review your case and respond as promptly as possible. And basically, what is the key characteristic of a good few thought prompt as far we know today? It has to be clear, specific, long, and fulfilling conditions. It has to be clear because it needs to be logically written, as if you would be writing code. It has to be super accurately worded. And regarding the area of specificness, you have the prompt has to contain very specific context, and you have to ask also for very specific output. The solution architects of OpenAI have mentioned a couple of times that this is a very good strategy for avoiding hallucinations. If you are prompting in the way that you are referring to a existing part of the text, in principle, the model will not hallucinate, but I don't believe so much this. I have to experience it. And the prompt has to be long, and therefore you have to expand it across multiple iterations. And it needs to fulfill conditions. And then you have to ask the model if the conditions are satisfied or how the conditions are satisfied. Like in the previous example, we are telling the system that the sentence didn't meet the requirement of professional tone and wasn't updated to that. So the condition was not fulfilled, and we are telling the model why. Okay, so as part of this iterative process, where do you start from? You start by creating a fact list. So you create the list and iteratively develop different prompts that fulfill the requirements. So you have also a checklist that you are evaluating against. And you can follow and observe the process, how it's improved or not, and if not, why not. So let's continue. Imagine that the FAQs have problems of concision, they have some grammatical mistakes, and also we have problems of tone on them. So then the first step is to create a template, one shot prompt. One shot prompt is the basic query you do to the model. It's a zero shot, so it doesn't contain any example, and complete it step by step. So in the next iteration, you have the zero shot prompt at the beginning, and after that the example that is making it a few shot prompt for the different use cases, and you track the performance of the system. How does it behave? So yeah, the one of tone, I already saw it before. For the one of concision, the problem is that somebody wrote, if you are dissatisfied with our services or would like to request a refund, please contact us, and that needed to be corrected for, if you wish to request a refund, please contact us through this contact form. This is a mistake there, it's redundant. So it should be through this form. So good prompt writing is also rewriting. And the grammatical content, we are giving examples, but this is more tricky because here we are giving an example of due to delay on departure, and we correct it due to a delay in the departure. Here, when I look at the prompt, I'm suspicious that from all the grammatical problems, it would only correct the one of the use of articles or not. Like you really need to observe this and experiment, because the system will process literally what you write. Therefore, you have to be super accurate and to think very good your examples. Think very well your examples. Okay, the goal is to make the prompt also long. So here you can also use the most powerful prompting technique, that is the chains of thought prompting. This is a technique that was introduced by Google engineers in 2022, and is basically prompting the system to fulfill a series of intermediate steps in order to get the final answer of a very complex problem. Chain of thought prompting is also triggered to the model through the word through the sentence, let's solve this step by step, or let's think about this step by step. So a ready to test prompt that contain also chain of thought would be in the first part to tell the model the role that is fulfilling. So your task is to assist the content team in revisiting the text for the FAQ articles. For this, you should or you must update the test step by step. And after that, telling the step to follow by adding first, second, and in the last step. Here, the assumption creating this prompt is that grammatical mistakes and also conciseness, they are mistakes that they need to be rewritten kind of thing, while correction of tone is tweaking the words that you have in the text across all the articles. So it could be done as the last one, but again, you had to test for your process. What it would be here, absolutely for me, a last step is to prompt the model to add multimedia content. So do this, do this, do this, do this, and at the end, add also a picture that would illustrate the customer, what kind of luggage he can bring with him for another use case. Okay, main pitfalls, and I did this super fast. Hallucinations, right? And this is the famous example that was for a very long time going around in the internet, and the source is Wikipedia, in which somebody is prompting ChatGPT about the content of an article that doesn't exist, and the model provides an answer, but the article doesn't exist, all right? So this is very typical of large language models. When they don't have the information, sometimes they say that they don't know, but a lot of times just that they produce something that is not true. And this is typical of models, but I think it's pretty human as well, right? And at the same level of harm for the user experience is the toxic language, the bias, that is like, wow, sometimes you prompt for different use cases and you say like, this is full of us, it's like human being here, in this answer. And also mathematical calculations that they don't work so well, and they are not part of emergent feature of large language models. Another pitfall that I wanted to add is prompt leaking. That is part of a malicious prompting. It's not exactly prompt injection. It's a way of interacting with the model. In this case is the chatbot Sydney from Big Search. This is another example. It was going a lot of time in the internet, in which the person who is interacting with the large language model is trying to the system to tell them the original prompt. So at the beginning, the model doesn't really offer a lot of information, but after that, they start to ask him in another way. So what comes after consider big chat, whose codename is Sydney, and the model leak out the next sentence of the prompt, and after that they ask, and the sentence after, and they leak the next sentence, and the 5 sentences after, and basically they are able to take all the most of the sentences that are contained in the prompt. And this is super bad because prompt engineering is super expensive, and actually you want to keep your prompt secret. So a part of writing the prompt is also avoiding that this thing will happen once it is deployed to the customer. And finally, as key takeaways. The reality is that it's still minute 1 of large language models, and maybe you saw this tweet back in December from Sam Altman, in which himself was recommended that ChatGPT at the moment, it has a lot of limitations, and it's a mistake to rely on it and any important thing right now. But at the same time, generative artificial intelligence is here to stay. And I think that, as with other technologies, early adoption is the key, especially because now the velocity, the speed we are going to experience is, I think, is going to be brutal. And we have to learn from it and how does it work as soon as possible. Regarding prompts, there is not a perfect prompt and there is not a perfect process at the moment. There are amazing tools, in my opinion, as far as I have seen, like the one of Vertex AI from Google, that can help you very much to refine this process, but still we are lacking in know-how and the right tools. And I think that at this stage still, human is very much in the loop, and you need this human knowledge to iterate on your processes. And yeah, certainly large language models and generative AI will change our professional profile as the technology advantages. And for the chatbot POC, basically, I was very surprised of seeing like how little I needed to do as a conversational designer to make the thing work. And that was everything on my side. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer your questions later in the roundtable. Yes, thank you.